Kapil Dev, the great Indian cricketer, said something which he thought would be inspiring for athletes and students, but unfortunately what he said was pretty bad and unscientific. Now, I like Kapil Dev. He was an amazing cricketer and also has a great personality actually. He's good at interviews also. He's always funny, coming up with great anecdotes. So I have no issue with the person. I really like him, but he made some factual claims which were not factual and I wanted to give my verdict on it. So in this video, I'll talk about what was good in his message and 5 mistakes that he made. Let's first listen to the video.
मैं बहुत सुनता हूँ टीवी पे, बहुत प्रेशर है, आईपीएल खेलते हैं, बहुत प्रेशर है, तो मैं एक ही चीज कहता हूँ, मत खेलो.
Told you, he's funny.
ये प्रेशर क्या होता है?
And now the problem starts.
खिलाड़ी को फर्स्ट थिंग, आपको पैशन है तो प्रेशर नहीं होना चाहिए. एंड ये वर्ड, अमेरिकन वर्ड आ जाते हैं ना, ये प्रेशर है, डिप्रेशन है, ये मेरे को नहीं समझ आता. मैं तो एक फार्मर हूँ, वहाँ से आया हूँ. हम तो एंजॉय करने के लिए खेलते हैं और एंजॉयमेंट में प्रेशर हो ही नहीं सकता.
Look at the audience.
एंड आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड. ये इन बच्चों को भी बोलते हैं जो पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, इनको भी. आई वेंट टू दिस, एक स्कूल में गया तो वो बच्चे 10th के 11th के बोल रहे बहुत प्रेशर है. आई सेड अच्छा, आपको भी प्रेशर है? एसी स्कूल में पढ़ते हो, माँ बाप फीस देते हैं, टीचर आपको हाथ नहीं लगा सकता और आपको प्रेशर है.
He is funny.
हमारे टाइम में पूछो प्रेशर क्या है. टीचर पहले थप्पड़ मारता था, फिर पूछता था कहाँ हो. अरे थप्पड़ क्यों मारा? आज के बच्चों को आप टच कर सकते हो कोई? तो इनको प्रेशर कैसे? माँ बाप फीस देते हैं, कितनी वो मेहनत करते हैं, फिर बच्चे आके बोलते हैं प्रेशर है. तो मैं उनको बोलता हूँ इसको प्लेजर में चेंज कर लो, इट्स में फन में चेंज करो. प्रेशर नहीं होना चाहिए. प्रेशर इज अ वेरी रॉन्ग वर्ड. व्हेन यू आर इन लव, इट्स नॉट अ प्रेशर. एंड आई लव माई गेम, सो इट कैन नॉट बी प्रेशर. हम तो ये कहते थे आज भगवान बारिश नहीं करना, हमें खेलना है, तो वो प्लेजर है, प्रेशर नहीं है. सो मैं सब बच्चों को यही कहूँगा आज कि आप इस पढ़ाई को एंजॉय करो. Enjoy में रिजल्ट बड़ा अच्छा है.
So he's already being criticized on this. Let me give my commentary in a little more detail. Let's start with what was good here. We have to steel man. The essence of his message is that if you love something, if you have passion for something, you won't feel pressure. Now there is some truth to it. Yes, if you genuinely love an activity, you will feel less pressure. But again, the message is too simplistic. There is so much more to this story. Turns out in literature, even passion is considered of 2 types. Harmonious passion and obsessive passion. Harmonious passion is basically doing an activity that we really love. We both enjoy doing it and we are also pleased after finishing it. Obsessive passion is when the desire to participate in something is so high, so overwhelming that it almost triggers pressure. Like people who can't stop playing a game. Like they have to continuously move to the next level. Sure, you love what you're doing, it's your passion, but instead of you controlling that activity is controlling you. The simple message is too much of anything is bad. So if passion becomes obsessive, it leads to bad results, and there is research for it. And this research was done among athletes only. The results basically show that athletes who had obsessive passion, they experienced higher burnout, they had higher perceived stress, they had higher negative emotions and lower positive emotions. So basically when Kapil Dev was talking about passion, he was, I think, just only talking about harmonious passion. He probably couldn't even think of the fact that this passion can also become problematic. But it's okay, most people don't really know this difference and anybody can make this mistake. Let's now come to the real mistakes, the 5 mistakes that he made. First mistake is just ignorance. He doesn't really understand what pressure is. And in a way he says that in the video also. Let me play it.
ये वर्ड, अमेरिकन वर्ड आ जाते हैं ना, ये प्रेशर है, डिप्रेशन है, ये मेरे को नहीं समझ आता. मैं तो एक
So he clearly says he doesn't understand these words, but then maybe don't talk about it with such confidence. Actually, the reality is when he says, I don't understand these words, depression or pressure, he's not exactly stating his ignorance. He's not being sincere here. He's not actually saying, I actually have no idea about how a rocket works. It's not like he's showing any curiosity to learn about depression or pressure. He's pretty much saying, I don't understand it, meaning the problem is with them. Like those are just made up words coming from America and the concept is not even real. So his attitude here is not of curiosity that I don't understand, it's more like dismissive. Now, by the way, it's not necessary for everybody to know what pressure or stress exactly is. I mean, it's not his job, it's not his expertise. The only problem is he's talking about it as if he knows a lot. That's the issue. For this context, I'll actually use stress and pressure interchangeably. The simple meaning of either of those words is when the demand on you exceeds your resources, your skills, your capabilities. Like you have to achieve a target and you don't know how to. The deadline is in 3 hours, but the work that you have to do will take you 6 hours. As soon as the demand on you becomes more than you can handle, you enter into stress and pressure. And a little bit is actually fine. A little bit of stress actually pushes you. It's sometimes needed to get the best out of you, but excessive is bad. When there's excess pressure, then you start to feel out of control. You start to worry, you get anxious, you may even feel hopeless, helpless. Ultimately, you may even feel burnt out. And if the stress is chronic, it can lead to physical ailments, it can contribute to strokes or even heart attacks. So essentially, stress and pressure are not just made up things in your mind, it's a real experience, which I'll talk more about later. Mistake number 2, he actually gives a very poor understanding of what a competitive career, especially in sports, may look like. He basically said we played for enjoyment. Let me actually play the clip.
मैं तो एक फार्मर हूँ, वहाँ से आया हूँ. हम तो एंजॉय करने के लिए खेलते हैं और एंजॉयमेंट में प्रेशर हो ही नहीं सकता.
We play for enjoyment and there cannot be any pressure in enjoyment. Now, do you think a person who's about to become an elite athlete can simply just play for enjoyment? Of course, enjoyment would be part of it. Actually, a small part of it. And that again would depend from person to person. But that's not the main reason. When you want to become an athlete, it is work. And as soon as you make something work, a lot of enjoyment actually goes away. Not all, but a lot. Because you have to do so many things which are necessary to just improve, grow. Elite athletes almost end up becoming robots in their routines. Wake up at 5 a.m., have a very strict diet, you can't stay up till late, you can't party, you can't even find too much time for friends. You have to keep practicing your weak shot for 100,000, 10,000 times. When you get injured, you are out of the game, you go rehab for 4 months. So a cricketer has to do so much more than just play cricket. If you want to compete, it's a grind. So acting like we play just for enjoyment is actually very poor summary of what a competitive career looks like. Maybe 40 years back when he was playing, things were relatively easier. But today, if you go to a training academy, you can see how cutthroat it is. Now, of course, somebody who's passionate about cricket, they want to become an athlete, it's more enjoyable than, let's say, working in a call center, for sure. But I repeat, enjoyment is just a very small part of the overall picture. Mistake number 3, not understanding the prevalence of stress and pressure in sports and academics. I mean, I don't think he's aware of the data at all. This one study says up to 35% of elite athletes suffer from a mental health crisis which may manifest as stress, eating disorders, burnout, or depression and anxiety. Another study done by International Olympics Committee confirmed that 33.6% of elite athletes reported symptoms of depression or anxiety, and even that 1 in 6 international athletes from the field of athletics reported experiencing suicidal thoughts. In fact, I want you to hear it from one of the greatest cricketers of all time, none other than Virat Kohli.
It wasn't just about the workload of cricket. There were many other factors on the outside as well, which contributed to me going into that space. तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें सीखने को मिलती हैं आप जिन चीज़ों को एक सर्टेन लेंस से देख रहे होते हो, बिकॉज आप पैशन से खेल रहे हो, आप दिल से खेल रहे हो, बट बाहर चीज़ें वैसे परसीव नहीं हो रही हैं और लोग उन चीज़ों की वैल्यू को नहीं समझते हैं और आपको उस लेंस से नहीं देखते हैं. तो वो चीज़ें काफ़ी आपको एक रियलिटी चेक देती हैं कि अच्छा दिस इज हाउ थिंग्स आर एंड यू कैंट एक्सपेक्ट एवरीवन टू थिंक एंड बी लाइक यू. तो वो चीज़ें भी मुझे रियलाइज हुई और इंटेंशनली एज यू सेड मैं कोशिश नहीं कर रहा, मतलब मुझे पता ही नहीं था कि मैं फेक कर रहा हूँ. मैं अपने आप को competitiveness के जोन में पुश कर रहा था, but it wasn't coming naturally to me. I'm a person who wakes up and feels like, okay, let's see what the day has for me, and be part of everything that I'm doing through the day with absolute presence and involvement and happiness, and that's who I've always been. And people ask me a lot, how do you do this on the field and how do you carry on with so much intensity? I just tell them I love playing the game and I love the fact that I have so much to contribute every ball and I would give every inch of my energy on the field.
So he does love the game, right? I hope there's no doubt about that.
For me, it never felt abnormal. A lot of people on the outside watched me, and even within the team, they asked me, how do you keep up with it? And I just said just one simple thing: I want to make my team win at any cost, and if that means that I I'm gasping for breath when I walk off the field, so be it. I mean, that's the kind of preparation I go through to be able to play like that. So वो naturally नहीं हो रहा था और मुझे push करना पड़ रहा था, but I just didn't know it because I became this, you know, this ideal kind of a sports person to look up to, and I mean,
admit it. I mean,
yeah, look, as I said, I'm very grateful for the fact that so many people get inspired by me, but you can't stop being a human being because of that.
You can't stop being a human being.
You also have to understand why people love you and support you. It's because you were yourself always. And even in these moments, I'm not shy to admit that I was feeling mentally down.
I was feeling mentally down. If you love it, why are you feeling mentally down? Because you are a human being.
And this is a very normal thing to feel. I mean, I'm a human being at the end of the day, and that should be a thing of, you know, a space for people to say, you know, hold on, if he can go through it and if he can experience the same, relax. It's normal to feel this way. It's not abnormal. Talk about it, discuss with people. No one's going to think you're weak. People are actually going to feel, you know, empowered yeah. and compassionate for you, and you're going to get help from sources you didn't even imagine. But we don't speak because we're hesitant. We don't want to be looked at as mentally weak or weak people. Trust me, faking to be strong is far worse than admitting to be weak. And that's something that I have no shame in saying that I was mentally weak.
If Virat Kohli can feel weak, mentally weak, anybody can. And there is no shame in admitting it. And Kapil Dev even talked about stress of students. And again, I think he has no idea. Let's look at some data. Now, according to this, 12% students feel tremendous stress, 45% feel more than average stress, and 33% feel average stress. That's a lot of stress. But why are they stressed? They are living in AC rooms, teachers can't touch them, parents are paying their fees. Why are children stressed? How does it make sense? Now you think about this. Let's say a child is being criticized or insulted in a parent-teacher meeting. Do you think the child will just look around and say, oh wow, at least I have an AC here. Oh my god, these walls are so nice. I mean, sure, nobody respects me, but this bus is so clean. This teacher just called me lazy in front of everyone, but at least she's not beating me up. And the child goes to home, and then he has so much homework to do that he cannot even get out of his room. But no, the child must think, well, I have no life outside this room and this study table, but at least I have an AC. I mean, you have to understand that these are two different things. You could be in the best environments in the world, but stress will still come if the demand on you is higher than what you can handle. Simple. So in that same survey, it was also mentioned the sources of stress for students. Here are some. First, get good grades, look good, fit in socially, get involved in extracurricular activities, be good at sports. Now students are required to do these things, and if they are unable to, it will be stressful. Simple as that. Mistake number 4, that whatever is giving you pressure, just instead start enjoying it. This is what he says.
फिर बच्चे आके बोलते प्रेशर है, तो मैं उनको बोलता हूँ इसको प्लेजर में चेंज कर लो, इट्स में फन में चेंज करो. प्रेशर नहीं होना चाहिए. प्रेशर इज अ वेरी रॉन्ग वर्ड. व्हेन यू आर इन लव, इट्स नॉट अ प्रेशर. And I love my game.
Pressure nahi hona chahiye. Pressure shouldn't be there. Of course it shouldn't be there. It's not up to the child. They're not wishing it. And turn it into pleasure? Really? Well, to be fair, if he's not aware of the concept of stress and pressure properly, how would he be aware of the solutions? For you to handle stress and pressure, you have to take multiple steps. You have to make multiple interventions. First, you have to develop some resilience, psychological resilience. You have to change your belief systems, how you see things, your perspectives. So basically, a lot of changes in your thoughts, and simultaneously you also have to work on your behaviors, your skills, because that helps you handle the load better. Sometimes you have to take big decisions like simply reducing the load on you. How you ultimately move from excessive stress to healthy stress, your journey will be unique. Each person will have to do their own thing depending on what their strengths and weaknesses are. Please remember, it's real work and it's not that easy. You can't just wake up in the morning and say, oh, you know what, I'm done with stress, let me just enjoy my day. Like saying to someone, just don't take pressure, no. It's pretty similar to saying, just don't make losses in your business, no. Just stop smoking, no. I mean, you can say it, you might have done it yourself also given your conditions, but it's pretty much no help to the other person because you don't know what they're dealing with. And the final mistake number 5, is the most important one, which is he basically trivialized the pain of others. See, if that was a stand-up show, I would understand it. Okay, make fun of stress, pressure, whatever. You can make a joke about anything. But clearly, he meant those things. He converted that into advice, proper advice. Millions of people and children could be struggling with stress and pressure, even depression, and he just dismissed it. And in a way, he also gives you the reason why he dismisses it, because he never experienced such stress himself. He was able to actually enjoy the game. So the problem here is that he doesn't relate to that experience, and that's pretty much the norm of the world, because you can't ever fully relate to everybody else's experience in the world. But the problem starts when somebody who's naturally healthy or privileged starts invalidating or minimizing the pain and suffering of people who are not so healthy, not so privileged. That's the deeper issue. As a general rule, when you hear about somebody else's pain that you don't relate to, start with respecting it. Start with believing that person. Start with the attitude of, okay, I don't relate to this, I don't fully understand it, but I fully consider the possibility that it's real for somebody else. You can't indicate that those people are inferior or crazy or fools for experiencing a different kind of pain. Tomorrow you may also go through some suffering or pain that other people are not familiar with. Would you not want them to take you seriously? Always remember that there is a lot of diversity in this world. People will find happiness in areas that you don't. People will find pain in areas that you don't. But you must respect their experience in both cases. Or if you have time and energy, maybe you can join them in their happiness or help them in their pain. But that's optional. But respecting their experience isn't. So let me conclude this video. I know Kapil Dev has already been criticized for it, but overall it's a good thing. He's free to speak whatever he wants and people are free to criticize him, and that's how we all learn things. At the end of the day, Kapil Dev is just a normal guy. He has expertise in some areas and ignorance in others, just like you and me. If this video ever reaches him, hopefully he'll consider these new perspectives. But for you, I just want to clearly say that it's not about proving someone right or wrong. It's about bringing out better ideas, talking about better principles. So here's my verdict. So whatever he said in that video, how useful was it? I would say 4 on 10. How scientific was it? 2 on 10. And if you like this analysis, please make sure to like this video, subscribe, and do hit the bell icon. That's what keeps me going. Thank you for listening. A very important factor in mental peace is that instead of just thinking and thinking internally, you should be able to talk about your frustrations to someone. But sometimes your friends and family can get tired of listening or might not even understand you well. That's why you should talk to a therapist. Your emotions need regular air ventilation. Your thoughts need regular garbage disposal, like once every week with a trained therapist. At Shridhar Life School, we have a team of therapists that you can talk to. Please go to shridharlifeschool.com to book your sessions.